We have a vision to be an international university of choice, anchored in Africa, dynamically shaping the future. Our mission is to inspire our community to transform and serve humanity through innovation and the collaborative pursuit of knowledge. To fully embrace the digital universe which we are beginning to inhabit, this is what we do at the University of Johannesburg. UJ, where the whole is far greater than the sum of its parts.
Hello everybody, and welcome to our first ever UJ International Library Conference, which is being streamed live all over the world and from all over the world. We have a fantastic lineup of guests that will be speaking today, and we are really excited that you have all been able to join us. In South Africa, we are moving into spring, and so we have a wonderful feeling of things beginning again. For many of you, it's the beginning of the academic year, and I hope that you will get something of the enthusiasm that we have for the start of new things that COVID is bringing about. When we started thinking about the title of this conference, it was at the end of May, beginning of June, and there was very much a sense of heaviness, a sense of being in crisis, a sense of struggling, and I'm amazed by how much we have adapted in the last couple of weeks, and how for many people, work from home has really become the new normal. And we have begun to find ways in which to be creative and which to begin to enjoy this time of lockdown. I definitely get the sense that the anxiety that we had several months and weeks ago has got less worldwide. You will appreciate that our title came about for this conference at the end of May, beginning of June, when we were very much in a time of crisis. That crisis hasn't necessarily left, but perhaps we have found new ways to cope with the crisis. And I think over these 2 days, we are going to share an enormous amount of interesting stories with one another, learn how to be universities and libraries in this interesting space. Before we get going, I want to thank all our sponsors who have so generously come to join us in making this conference possible. You will see that there are many different breakaways throughout the 2 days and times for the different sponsors to share their products and ideas with you. And for those of you who are watching this and are librarians, you know how important our partnerships are with the different vendors and how important it is for us all to stay on top of the latest developments. So I encourage you to join in those breakaway groups. We are delighted to be partnering with ACU, the Association of Commonwealth Universities. It's just been such a delight to work with everybody in the office, and they have made it possible for us to really bring together this amazing panel of speakers from all over the world. I'm going to be introducing the various speakers, but you see that in the interest of time, all my introductions are going to be very short. The bios for each of the speakers are on the website or on our conference app. If you haven't downloaded the app, please go and do so now. At the end of each session, there's going to be a time for questions and answers. And we really encourage you to put your questions into the chat box, which is on the right-hand side of your screen. If you haven't yet opened the chat box, then the chat function is at the bottom of your screen, and it is in white and it says chat, and you just click on that and then you can participate in the chat function. A couple of other housekeeping issues. Our sessions are being broadcast live on Facebook, so share the sessions with your friends on Facebook. Each of the sessions will be recorded and they will then be uploaded onto our library YouTube channel and will be available for anybody to download afterwards. We hope that you are going to enjoy this conference. And we thank Ex Libris, a ProQuest company, for enabling us to have a conference app. I suggest that you download it and have it on your phone so that you can follow what's going on all the time. You might not be able to participate all the way through each of the different themes, but if you have us on the app, then you will be able to track what's happening on your phone. We're going to go straight into the first of our themes today, and that is leading a workforce of the future. And we're going to kick off this morning by inviting the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Mauritius, Prof Dhanjay Jhurry, to address us. Prof Jhurry, we are very honored to have you with us this morning, and we are excited to hear about the innovations that you have been bringing about at your university as you have been going through change. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Maria. I'm very happy to be with you all. And I'm also very happy that, just as you, we are moving out of this pandemic, hopefully. And we are looking forward now to new things. We call it a new normal, but I kind of refrain from using that term new normal, because I truly believe that we need to do things differently henceforth. And I also hear you mentioning about the spring in as we are in the same parts geographically as Joburg. We're also looking forward very much, to spring. So let me start by sharing some of my thoughts with you. So let me start by talking about this first one, about which I entitled as can we, in a very kind of provocative manner, can we in the developing world close our eyes on the digital transformation wave? This is a sort of provocative title. But understanding that we are all looking in the same direction, whether we are in the developing or in the developed world. No university has ever thought of not embracing this digital transformation wave. But let us just see how we move about it. And to start this conversation, I would like just to refer to the early 1990s, when we were talking of, at that time, computer-mediated instruction. We were talking of online delivery. We were talking a lot of educational technologies, all in the present context of e-libraries. But when we were talking in the 1990s of all these changes that should be brought to the higher education sector, we were very much keen on promoting efficiency and the quality of the learning process. And we were all talking at the time of developing critical skills, self-driven, independent learning, problem solving. Those were the key issues we wanted to address in the early 1990s by having, I will not use the term digital transformation, but I will use the term computer-mediated instruction. But then, when we look at the University World Use on the 20th of March 2020, we find that the Association of African Universities calling African universities to implement alternative methods of delivering teaching and learning using technology. In the meantime, 30 years have gone by. From 1990s to 20th of March 2020, when most countries went on lockdown, 30 years have gone by. So, and when we see the statement of Professor Etienne Ehile from the AAU saying that we need to organize online teaching and learning webinar to support the African higher education community, I'm inclined to say, what have we done during the 30 years? Have we completely forgotten that we had to, embark on the new technologies? why did we waste so much time? What have we done? What is the status on the African continent of online teaching and learning? So I'm tempted to ask, first of all, that question, where are we? What is the status? Well, I can't respond on behalf of the African continent, but at least from the University of Mauritius point of view, I can say that we had in the 1990s started the Center for Distance Learning. In the year 2000, that Center of Distance Learning became a virtual center for innovative and learning technologies. And in 2014, that virtual center, the VCILT, was replaced by the Center for Innovative and Lifelong Learning. We refer to it as CIL here. So I can say during the 30 years, let's say from the 1990s to 2020, we have all the time been innovative and trying to keep abreast of new developments in this sector of online delivery, of edtech, of new technologies. So when we went on the when the pandemic came, we all across the world have been on several Zoom meetings, sharing experiences, and one common thing is all universities had to take decisions like how to avoid disruption in the delivery of lectures. That's what I call imperative number one. And imperative number two was how to ensure the completion of the academic year with minimum disruption for the students, while of course maintaining all university quality standards. So those were the two imperatives across the world, no matter whether we're talking of the African continent or we're talking of Europe or the US or elsewhere. We all had two important imperatives to answer. And when we look at those imperatives, we find that there were prerequisites that we needed to have to be able to answer to the imperatives in a smooth manner. So what were those imperatives? There were to what were those prerequisites? They were to be able to respond to the online delivery immediately. So the online delivery platform already in place and staff already trained to be able to respond in a very immediate manner to the problems of the pandemic. Also, we had to, of course, quickly organize online delivery, and also the students have to have full access to classes, lectures via those platforms. And obviously, we cannot function in a no man's world. We had to also have the tools to be able to accompany online delivery, in other words, digital resources. I mentioned here e-library, but that is one of them, of course. So when we look at imperative 2, ensure completion of the academic year, it meant swift adaptation to the situation and readiness to bring changes, of course, to our own traditional university rules and regulations. It also meant a certain dose of anticipation and foresight, because we didn't know whether we would be on lockdown for 1, 2, 3 months or more. So it was important to fully assess the risk and be able to take the right decision. So that was imperative 2, to be able to respond to the 2 imperatives that I had mentioned. So when we look at that, we find that it was important to be able to respond to the pandemic and all to the constraints we had. It was important to be prepared. At the University of Mauritius, we had already in 2019 shifted from the old credit system, the American credit system, to the learner-centered credit system, which is very similar to the European credit transfer system, but gave it our own name of a learner-centered credit system. So we had already shifted to that. That was very important because embedded into the learner-centered credit system, we had the embedment of technology within that. We had promoted computer-mediated learning and instruction. We had organized from during the whole 2019 year a series of workshops for the teaching, for the training of our staff. We were in 2019. We had changed the vision, or we had moved on the vision of a research-engaged and entrepreneurial university. So we knew what it meant by proactiveness, flexibility, and capacity to take risk. So as you can see, all those were very important to help us transition very smoothly through the lockdown and be able to deliver on our on the two imperatives that I mentioned successfully. So that was very important. But I can't just mention about what the university did without also mentioning about the preparedness at the level, at the national level, at country level. That was very important. To mention to you that the Digital Government Transformation Strategy that was published in 2018 and covered the period 2018-2020 was also of tremendous help. In addition to that, we had the Digital Mauritius 2030 Strategic Plan. We had more precisely to the education sector, the ICT strategy for the education sector, which was around 4 important pillars: infrastructure and connectivity, enhanced teaching, learning, and pedagogical content development, education management, capacity building, and professional development, to precisely sustain that ICT strategy for the education sector. And more recently, in 2019, we had the presentation of the Mauritius Artificial Intelligence Strategy. So I would say that all those initiatives also helped the country and the higher education sector transition in a smoother manner through the pandemic. So that was very important. Now, when I talked about being prepared, I'm also tempted to say that from what happened during the pandemic, that is, all universities across the world moved online, some in an excellent manner, some relatively with a lot of difficulties. We need not stop there. We need now to go a step further and fully embrace the full university digital transformation, which is, of course, centered on people, but need also to look at the processes that need to accompany, and also the tools that we need to use to accompany that digital transformation. That is also very important. And there's no need for me to justify about that digital transformation, but just to mention that 42% of jobs are expected to have entirely different skill sets by 2022, which is in 2 years' time. Less than 50% of employers think universities prepared students to join the workforce. So I think I can continue like this, but I just use these 2 indicators. Needless to mention also about the World Economic Forum. I'm sure many of you know already about the difficult transitions for millions of workers and the new surge of agile learners and skilled talent globally. So all this is very important, and I'm sure that in the light of this, the workforce of the future, which is this session's discussion, is to be able to think of how we create the leaders of tomorrow, the workforce of tomorrow, how we reimagine training. And I don't think we can ever think of that without digital transformation, without skilling, reskilling, retraining, providing our workforce with critical digital skills, which I've summarized in under information, media and technology skills, learning, creativity and innovation skills, life and career skills. And just to mention to you at this stage, when we talk of life and career skills, we talk of an innovation-based economy. We talk of constantly learning. Learning is not just done at university level. Learning continues throughout the whole employment career. And something that will be of interest to you also is that during the pandemic, we decided to open the University e-Library, which in fact was created just in early 2018. We decided to open it to the whole public because we feel that the public needs also to access knowledge, and it is through knowledge that we can innovate. So this is just to give you an example of how the university also contributes to the process of knowledge dissemination, not only to its clients, the students, but also to the whole public. Now, very important to say these, to talk about these nice things, which everybody agrees to, but more importantly, I would tend to say, what strategies do we put in place to achieve this? How do we get there? I think is very important. And it is obvious that universities have got to set priorities. We should not, in 30 years' time, see again, organizations urging us to adopt digital transformation, as we've seen organizations urging us to go online. I think we need to be better prepared, and in that preparation, we will have to overcome a very important problem, which is about the cultural shift resistance. This is all over the place, not only in my country, but I think all over the place. And we need to put our heads together and get our people convinced that this has to move forward. We talk about universities, but we should note that governments, have been leading all over the world during the pandemic. So if we don't have government support, and they are the ones who can mobilize resources, we're not going to reach far. I'm also talking of local issues, universities, governments, but if we're not looking into regional strategies in our part of the world, SDGs, African Union, African Development Bank, all have to look in the same directions and share the same vision. We also need probably to look at funding agencies who will have definitely to review the way they fund both education, training and research. That will also have an impact. We need also we work closely with university networks. I should also thank ACU, who was first to get me on this important meeting today. So university networks will also, I mentioned the regional ones, but I need also to include into those ACU as well, to champion such kind of transformation through putting in place the appropriate training. We cannot just look into university networks, into universities working on their own. We need to invite industry to join hands with us, because if we do not have a concerted strategy for the digital transformation, for the retraining, the reskilling, whatever, I don't think we will reach far. So industry has to get on board. Since we're talking of libraries, I thought that it was important to also have a kind of network of African university e-libraries, which I'm not sure we have at present. So that's why I put it, out of all the ideas that I was showcasing. But saying this, I think that it is nothing new if we look at the SDGs. And SDG 17, which is about partnerships for goals, encourages to work together, university, the public, the private sector, when I say the public, I mean the public sector, governments and so on, together with the university networks to all join hands together. This is how we achieve partnerships. And this is, in a kind of nutshell, very quickly, what I wanted to say. So in conclusion, I would say that we should not stop at what we have done through the pandemic, moving online, making sure that we complete the year. We need to look much farther than this, and we need now to look at how we transform, how we get universities embrace fully that concept of digital transformation, which is not only, which is where online delivery is part of it, but which is much more than just online delivery. So this is what I wanted to share with you this morning. Thank you very much.
Prof Jhurry, thank you so much. That was incredibly interesting. And you have left us with so many different things to think with and to think about. I'm particularly interested that you have been able to set up a network of libraries, or rather that you've been able to use your library as a way that other people in Mauritius can access the university library. That is something we'd love to be able to do in South Africa, but as yet haven't been able to do because of various different vendor restrictions. So really interested in talking to you about that in a little bit more detail.
The University of Johannesburg, the future reimagined.